Hi, everybody. This is John Forsland as Chuck Caton, the Hall of Fame radio voice of the Carolina Hurricanes. And you're watching the Power Play Break, the place to talk about pucks.
Back here in the Power Play Break with Alana Blahoski. Before we left the first segment there, you were talking about your high school time. And you didn't have high school hockey for girls there, but talk about the development you had on that travel all-star team. How was that for you?
That's where we really were fortunate enough to gain the exposure, because there was established women's college hockey on the East Coast, and it was really the only place. So we would go to the national tournaments, which were typically held on the East Coast, and we would play, these established programs like Assabet Valley, and again, we thought we had a great team, really talented, and we thought, wow, we would go to nationals and just tear it up, and then we get there and we're playing these girls from the East Coast, and it's like, wow, these girls can play, and we didn't fare too well. Our first national tournament, which was in Worcester, which was very confusing to all of us, how they got Worcester out of Worcester. I was like, there's no A, there's no, like, what are they talking about? But yeah, it was a great experience, and it led to being noticed by college coaches and to then being recruited.
Let's talk about that now. There really isn't, like the University of Minnesota, I guess at that time, didn't have women's hockey, Minnesota Duluth, Wisconsin, WCHA really didn't have a lot of women's programs. How did you find out about Providence College, the Lady Friars hockey team?
I think, I was being invited when I was younger, junior high, to the national camps, the USA Hockey sort of national development camps. They would have them in St. Cloud, and there you would get all sorts of college coaches, and they would talk about their schools a little bit, talk about their programs, and I knew one thing for sure: I wanted to get out of Minnesota. I just wanted to get out of Minnesota.
You wanted to change the pace for life, kind of.
Yeah, I just, it wasn't exciting for me. Like, I just didn't feel, I just felt there was a lot more out there. So I thought, you know what, either I'm going to go to the East Coast and play hockey, or maybe I would go to University of Wisconsin at Madison and play soccer, maybe. Which I heard was Cammie's plan too, because I happened to meet her brother-in-law. Cammie Granato. I met her brother-in-law over the weekend, and he was like, yeah, she was going to either play soccer at, UW-Madison, or she was, going to continue her hockey career.
Now, did you play another sport besides women's ice hockey at that point?
I did. I played softball in college as well.
So you're at Providence now, and you come east. Culture shock? Was it, it's a different, Minnesota's more of a down-homey feel. East Coast, a little bit more cosmopolitan, a little bit more, not, I wouldn't say sophisticated, but a little bit more fast-paced.
Oh, yeah.
People are more into themselves. They're not into the community as much. Was that a big transition for you coming into school there?
I think the biggest transition was, and I love this, and I especially love it about New York, but people are much more direct. Much more direct, which at first, I was like, oh boy, like these people are mean, but no, they tell you how they feel, and they're not afraid to express their opinions, and they do it in front of you, to you, as opposed to like, 20 minutes later after you've met and then you hear about it. And I had some clients that moved to Minnesota, and they were, born and raised in New York City. And they said, what's this thing about, Minnesota nice? We keep hearing about it. And then after they moved, they were like, oh, we get it. Yeah. Like they don't, they're very polite, and they don't want to cause commotion or trouble. And
now, talk about, you're a female athlete there at the school. You also played softball there as well. That had to be a very demanding time academically, trying to keep up with the schoolwork, because they do offer Western civilization there, and it's a 2-year program. And I know from talking to people who've gone there, it's not easy. You're having a lot to do between trying to play 2 varsity sports and also try to go to school at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely kept me out of trouble to be in season all year long. I mean, there was no spring break, really. The academic demands, that was quite an adjustment. When I did first get to college, I had these aspirations of being an engineer. didn't fare too well in my my math classes. Kind of brought the GPA way down, and then slowly but surely I gained my footing and hit my stride, and ended up graduating cum laude. So being a two-sport athlete, and you kind of, I think habits are important if they're good sort of habits, and yeah, like I said, you didn't have much time for mischief. I mean, you really...
Getting down to, was Eagles Bar, right? The Eagles Bar?
I mean, we go to Bradley's Cafe.
I know all those areas very well.
My first night...
I didn't go to school there, but I know them.
Yeah, my first night in Bradley's, the men's hockey team was in there, and I got to know those guys very, very well. And there was a guy there, Scott Balboni.
Okay.
He was, I believe, a defenseman for Providence, and he was just hammered. And all of a sudden, the bar's about to close, and he says, "Hey, you want to meet my mom?" And I said, "All right." Looking around, that doesn't look like there's anyone in here old enough to be his mom. All of a sudden, he whips down his pants. He's got boxers on. He's got a tattoo of his mom's face on his thigh. And he was like, "Oh, God, I pity your girlfriend and your wife," because imagine that. But, yeah, all sorts of characters at Providence.
Now, in 121 games, you had 83 points. Were you relied on heavily as an offensive threat with them? Or was it more, you just kind of were there to kind of, not really guide the team, but, Cami Granato was there, and there was a lot of other people there as well who were very talented. But
Yeah.
were you one that was kind of looked to right away? Because you're coming from Minnesota, you played on this travel team. Were they looking for you for, numbers and whatnot?
I think, I would never categorize myself as an offensive threat. I mean, Cami is up in that area. She always knows where to be, when to be there, and she scored a ton of goals because of it. I think for me, I think they relied on me in the sense that when things needed to happen, whether it was drawing a penalty, whether it was, forechecking hard to cough up the puck or killing a penalty, I found the net, but I don't think I had a knack for finding the net. I think it was a lot of hard work and, some luck, which usually usually goes hand in hand. But
now, did you draw crowds to games? I mean, were you guys not really?
Really,
no?
not really.
Was that disappointing to you, or?
No, I mean, we had our friends that would have little parties before our games, and they would be very loud, and it was always a fun, atmosphere. But I don't think they ever sold the place out or anything like that. But even the men, which shocked me because I went to every men's game, and they were playing UMaine with Paul Correa, who was just dancing around our defensemen. And, the BU team then, and Northeastern had all these players that were just exceptional. And the rink wouldn't be sold out for these
Schneider
games.
Arena, yeah. I mean,
I was so surprised because I just thought it was such beautiful hockey.
Now, you're going to finish school in '96. Did you think to yourself, well, that's it? My career is over. Were you saying to yourself, is there anything else for me out there?
I think it was 1995 where they decided to include women's ice hockey in the Olympics. They made the announcement. It was either 94 or 95. And the minute I heard that, I just thought, okay, that's perfect. That's what I want to do. Watching the men win it in 1980, I didn't know, I was playing with the boys, I didn't know the difference really between boys and girls. As far as playing hockey, I thought I had a shot to play on the guys Olympic team. I really didn't know because I was playing with guys anyway. And but so once I heard that became a goal for me. It absolutely became a goal.
When we get back, we're going to talk about Alana's Olympic experience in Nagano in 1998 after this.